Howdy healers, welcome to Zero to KSM Hero, a series where I'll be attempting the Keystone Master Challenge in patch 9.1.5 on a brand new healer. The rules are simple. For the Alliance, least favored healer, least popular covenant, only moderate help from main character allowed, no linking Raider IO to main character, pugging only, and finally the challenge must be finished before posting the first video to avoid any external help or assistance, and of course for the sake of integrity. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode. We are in episode 13 now, where we're gonna try to do a couple more dungeons, per the usual. So the first step to getting into a dungeon is of course to apply to them, which I do struggle with still just a little bit, mostly confidence-wise, but something to keep in mind is that there is a big difference between I'm not geared or ready enough to do a key of that level versus there's probably like 5 other healers applying for this key and the chance of me being accepted over them is just low. Because you can see I was declined from a couple of groups here, but it's like somebody more qualified probably applied, so why the hell would anybody take me? That's not like a bad thing necessarily, but, it's just how it is. So I get into my first group of the day here, and we're gonna run over to Bastion and get ready, because etiquette, go to the dungeon. Just do it. This is extra true if you have engineering, like there's no reason not to use the wormhole and just go, but, I'm a pleb right now, so I have to fly. Lucky for you guys, you don't have to watch the journey to the dungeon. I'm just gonna pop right in there, because it's easier. Alright, so this is Inspiring Week. This is something to remember, and our tank here has the Legion Bearskin, which at this time, this would have been about the 29th of December when this was recorded, so the tank has the bearskin, and it was not early in Legion time walking, but it's kind of earlier on in it. So it's still kind of cool, right? And you can see this group is literally melting these mobs. Like, they're definitely overgeared. I've seen people try that in other groups, and it was a nightmare to heal. That was nothing. Stuff just died so fast that, like, any dots that might have gone out, like, just straight up didn't because the mob was dead. That's where you can handle, like, a really big pack, if people are actually doing damage. Now, I tried to ring a piece that guy, but, like, we had Inspiring up, so it didn't do anything on top of the mob probably being, like, somewhat immune to crowd control anyway. So, it was close, and it didn't push any other mobs away from it. Easy. Easy. Like, any healer can heal through, like, moments of hecticness, but nobody can deal with, like, extended, like, bad times, right? So, that's something to keep in mind. Like, your job as a healer is to heal through moments of things going to hell and back, not, like, an entire dungeon of it. I think something that should be remembered as well is don't forget to heal yourself. You can see that I'm using mana here. It felt like I was doing a lot of healing, but I didn't really go through that much mana. And that's partly thanks to my legendary helping me conserve mana a little bit. I'm like standing in bad things because I'm not moving. Anyway, this is only a 5, so it kind of feels like a bit of a step down from what I would normally do because I've been doing some like 8s and 9s, but I'm at a point where it's still better than the key that I have done before, and it's better by a couple of, I think it's 3, better by 3 key levels than the one that I've done before, because I think I've only done this on a 2 on Fortified. So it's like, it's worth just, you know what I mean? It's worth just doing it. Yeah, it feels like a bit of a downgrade, but you know what's more of a downgrade? Just sitting in the group finder, not doing anything, not getting any gear, just hoping that, like, I don't know, someone's gonna take pity on me and take me. At least if I do this 5, like, I might get a piece of gear. At the very least, I have another, you know, 5 to 9 key under my belt that might make me look good. So we all run up here, but the tank's plan is, like, clearly to take them downstairs. I dispel a little too early, maybe, but I pull Yulon out. I should be hiding around the corner, to be honest, because those stupid hurling bastards are, like, extra annoying. My Ring of Peace didn't push them nearly as far away. I like to think I get a little bit better at placing Ring of Peace in the future, but only time will actually tell. These little garbage mobs, I just hate them so much. These are an example of, like, I'm not gonna call them bad design, because I'm, like, no video game an expert here, but they're super annoying. And I don't think anybody is, like, I think they're one of the worst parts of the dungeon, and most people would agree with that. And not in, like, a fun, challenging way. Like, these stalker, stealth claws, sorry, are, you know, not only are they cute because they're cats, right? But, like, they're dangerous because of the bleed they put up. But they're not annoying. They don't, like, move in an annoying pattern or anything like that. Like, the most annoying thing about them is that they're just stealthed to start. And even then, it's not that bad. Except on Necrotic Week, they do kind of suck. Not gonna lie.
Listen to reason, devils. The Kyrian must stand united. Not so long as
we're, like, zooming in this dungeon. We have found us a good group of gamers. Like, I have time to do a little damage here. Unheard of. Both Rebellious Fists go off for some reason, but it doesn't kill the group because it's only a 5. But it's one of those things where if this was a 15, that would have wiped us. And then the next 2 get interrupted. So, it's not that the group's bad or anything. They just, like, kind of spaced out there for a second. Or maybe used their interrupts on other things. Onward we go.
we have been told to purify ourselves.
Tank's already going, man. He ain't waiting. So I'm gonna sit and drink here, and probably not for very long. The tank is overgeared, so it makes it a little bit easy to, you know, like, let him sit for a second. But if he wasn't so geared, he probably wouldn't have pulled those mobs before the group got there. Just because his ability to, like, stay alive would be, let's just say, compromised. I basically just delay the Dark Praetor's, like, casts, but, you know, at a certain point, whatever it takes. These Dark Praetors are annoying too, but not in the same way that the Skirmishers are, even though they have a similar mechanic where they jump out and throw things. I just argue that the Skirmishers are just so much worse in terms of, like, the amount of damage that they do. Granted, those Dark Seekers can do a lot of damage at higher levels, but I don't know. It's a more predictable damage, or it's, like, easier to heal through with the Praetors than the Skirmishers, in my opinion. And Spires is definitely a dungeon that, like, I don't like very much. Why? It's 100% this boss right here that is the reason that I don't like Spires. I hate that boss. I forget her name. Starts with a V. Ventinax? Yeah, I hate her. A good tank makes the fight better, though. So we'll see how this guy does with placing the orbs. However, I'm guessing that the boss is gonna die in about 2 seconds. And also, look at me topping the avoidable damage taken meter. Cringe. I would like to sit and drink here, but, like, I kinda can't because the tank just goes right in while we're still in combat with something else.
You cannot match my alacrity.
Which I have opinions on. I feel like if the whole group is on the same page, it's not so bad. But when you have people lagging behind that, like, aren't even at the boss, what was the point of pulling the boss unless you're a tank that does high damage? Like, if you're a tank that's topping the damage meters, it's a little bit different. I got hit by that. It didn't look like it, but I did. Alright, so the tank wasn't great at placing these orbs in the sense that they're definitely not stacked. But they were easy to avoid, I guess, which we'll take. It's a 5 after all. You can see the mage, like, trying to avoid it as well. We didn't even have to do 2 rounds with it. Alright, off we go.
Because we must. Mortal burdens would only impede our sacred duty.
Looks like there's 50 of these angels stacked on each other.
No, it was a mortal who exposed the folly of your edicts.
I guess I don't mind the travel in this dungeon. Since it is kind of, like, built into the timer, it's not as bad as it could be. Plus, I guess with the travel time, you don't have to sit and drink, because, like, you know, kind of takes care of that for you. It's kind of nice. Alright, Tank tried to skip this guy, but then it didn't work, so he just does it. Then he thinks about going up the ramp with him, but like it's probably not gonna work anyway. So then he just pulls all this. I would argue that just pulling it is probably the smarter. I don't know that I want to call it a tactic, but sure, we'll call it a tactic. It's a smarter tactic and a +5 to just pull everything than to try to skip it when you may doubt your group's ability to skip it. The only person in the group that has invisibility is the druid with stealth. Everybody else may or may not have an invis pod. Which, I mean, you can skip this group pretty easy. We don't have anybody with any pets or anything in the group. It shouldn't be a problem, but this is the part where you're going to have trouble skipping, if anything. Or I guess the mage has invisibility too, my bad. Alright, so we managed to skip it, it looks like. And the druid pulls these little usurper throwy guys. These are like less annoying skirmishers, but they do just as much damage. Letting the tank like get them mostly behind the pillar before you even follow is like the true hack, I guess. And for some reason the boss got pulled like by the tank. Like, right out of the gate. I don't know why he couldn't have waited, like, another second, but okay. We'll take it. He's, like, probably trying to +3 this. We only have one spot that's sticking way out. I should have definitely used, like, Fort Brew or something there. But it's not that bad, because again, it's like a 5. And also something I noticed with this boss is when you have to run out, you have to like stack the spots and then run out. If you are lagging even like a little bit, you want to use the movement speed increase no matter what, because you will not make it out in time. Our bear is soaking orbs like a king. We have one orb that one of the DPS grabbed. It looked like the Windwalker. I could definitely be doing more damage here. And not just like spinning crane kicking. But it's fine. Because you can see how the Windwalker and the tank keep getting the debuff. Or, like, at least 2 people almost always are getting the debuff. But it's 100% because they think that they're going to be clear of the spots in time, and then they're not. I don't think it's happened to me yet in this series, but it will be happening where I'll be getting it a lot. I think I just get too cocky and think, well, I'm running out, but then I end up in, like, oceanic groups where, you know, everybody's... If I'm not lagging, they'd be lagging, so... It starts to get a little dicey. We are almost done here.
And so, I listened to the jailer's words. I learned of the great injustice you and the others thrust upon him, and upon us all. He seeks to free us from the prison we have built for ourselves. And for that, he has earned my...
To be honest, I just want a drink, because I want to make sure that I have enough mana for this entire sequence of events. Because judging by what this tank has done so far in the dungeon, there's no guarantee that he's not gonna, like, chain pull these angels. Also, something interesting in this dungeon, I think, is that nobody seems to be Kyrian, or if they are, they're not picking up the spears. But we know for sure that the other monk is not Kyrian. They're Night Fae as well. I actually saw him in the Covenant Hall when I wandered, when I joined the group and I wandered out. I think I passed him. I didn't really take the time to, like, creep on everybody's IO or eye level or anything, but, like, clearly this is a group that's, it's like a carry group. The key holder didn't invite scrubs. So then why are we here? Well, it's a +5, and, let's be honest, you might not get the best healer for a +5. I don't mean that in a bad way, by the way. I mean mostly, like, if you're looking for somebody for your group, right, and you have a +5 key, you're gonna get applicants that want to do a +5, which some of them may be, like, people like me who are looking to build score, and others might be just farming Valor, but if you don't get a healer that wants to farm Valor, or farm for a specific, trinket, for example, which you're gonna find, like, maybe a lot of healers that would sign up for, like, mists, or, DPS casters that might sign up for Theater of Pain for the Ruby, maybe? But other than that, like, the kind of people that are gonna apply for the group aren't probably not gonna be great, right?
With your spear in hand, I will take control of the spires.
Alright, so we have good old Devos over there. I don't want to get into melee because seems like a bad idea.
All who serve the Kyrian must fall. This spear shall pierce your heart.
I'm top of the meters there for taking avoidable damage. Cringe.
The winds howl in rage. The spear! Use it to bring
I'm like the only one that didn't grab an orb. I just dumbed it up here. Like, honestly, I think I just got, like, I think I lost a couple of brain cells or something. Normally I'm like I'm like ready to go get some stupid. This is definitely the first dungeon where the damage from the dot that you get while you're in intermission is noticeably awful.
I will strike you down. The Archon spear is mine to wield. Be gone from this place. It's too far away.
Monks are pretty mobile, so they have a pretty easy time with the orbs when they do pick them up. Just like druids, who can dash, or a monk could use Tiger's Lust or whatever to get there fast.
This spear shall pierce your heart. No!
Boom. I didn't even have that much to say about the end there. Because it was like, well, smooth. When it was a +3, so. Got some score. Got a piece of gear. We're good. We're awesome, even. I take the portal. And we can consider this run a success. So we're gonna just bounce straight into the next key. We're gonna keep it simple. This was my key, a 9 Plaguefall, and I did invite everybody to the group. It took almost 8 minutes just to get a tank after I had all of my DPS, and I just guessed things were kind of slow or whatever. So I am gonna put everybody's IO score and their eye level on the screen just so that you guys can kind of see what kind of team of gamers I've assembled here. And like, obviously, I've assembled a team where everybody is worse than me in IO score except the hunter, and everybody's eye level is kind of low. I mean, it's not that low, but like also it's one of those things where like we're more or less equal in terms of eye level and IO, like combined. None of us are like way ahead of the others. So anyway, you may be wondering, why did you invite 2 red paladins and a hunter? And the reason is they applied. It was them or people that were way worse or way lower in either eye level or IO or both that applied. My pickings were slim, guys. So I took these guys, but also in my mind I was thinking, alright, with 2 Ret Paladins and a Mistweaver Monk, we've got disease cleanses for days. This should be a joke. This should make Plaguefall easy. But we're gonna see exactly how the run goes. So, was it worth inviting 2 Ret Paladins and a Hunter? Stay tuned to find out. Alright, so like you've already probably noticed how much of a disaster this dungeon is already turning out to be. My mana is super, super low right now. I pulled the Plague Rock because the tank was kiting back and it landed next to me. I could have probably avoided it if I would have known that it landed, but I think this is like the first time that anybody's kited the giant that patrols back that far, so I didn't expect it. And the tank, instead of like paying attention to what's going on in the group, seemed to not be paying attention to anything but what they wanted to do. And like one of those issues where they're like more, maybe a little too concerned with time and should be a little bit more concerned with, I don't know, like making sure that nobody dies or having a stun even available. It is Grievous week, so like everybody is taking like a lot of damage. You could almost see a disaster ready to happen here with these getting pulled back. You know the group is it's not a fun experience when I can't even really get in there and do any damage at all, not even to apply Mystic Touch. This pull went okay, like, considering. And I just wanted a drink. So I'm hoping if the tank is only killing this one Plague Rock that I'll be able to, like, at least drink up. There goes Mystic Touch. Tank has good self-healing so far. They don't have a lot of juice in the tank, so I'm gonna juice them with heals here. And here comes the storm. And one of the Ret Paladins pulls, which I knew was gonna happen. That's what happens when you skip something that's like literally in the way. I could definitely stun these guys to stop the storm, but I'm afraid if I like stop healing for like 1 second that like we're all gonna die. Busting out that sweet Draenei heal. Like, the tank puts out an AMZ, but, like, I don't even have time to get into it. I'm trying to keep everybody alive. This is definitely a you're better off resetting it moment. Yeah. I think I was gonna type, like, woof, but then I realized that, like, the tank's a Worgen, so it seemed a little dumb. Maybe it, like, might look like I was blaming them. which I don't. It was the Ret Paladin. In fact, it was the Ret Paladin that asked what happened. It was them. I don't know what I'm doing. I should be drinking. There we go. Alright, so the tank is being rude now, like, I think, in the sense, like, assuming that people in this group don't speak English because they messed up a mechanic, right? It's a little condescending. If anybody, now granted, the Ret Paladin asked what happened, but they did say it in a way that might explain that they're English second language, but there's no way to know for sure. I don't know, it's just one of those things where, like, it feels like they're being condescending. If their goal was to help everybody, they wouldn't have put it in, like, all caps, right? Or they could even say, stand here. But something to remember as a tank is that melee DPS are, like, limited in where they can stand anyway. So, like, they can't stand on you on a lot of mobs because frontal cleaves and stuff. So they have to stand behind. So your placement has to include room for your melee to stand. And some tanks just, they'll never learn that, by the way. Others are maybe a little too accommodating with it, if that's, like, even possible. These are mobs where everybody should be standing in front. Alright. I wanted to just drink, but the slime had to come to me. I'm definitely already feeling a little frustrated with this group, but not enough to call the key. You see, like, cooldowns going out, and then, like, everything's already being kited out of the cooldown for the hunter. So, I mean, it's okay. It's okay. Sometimes the tank does need to kite out of stuff. But there are other times where, like, it's not necessary. Alright, I got some Mystic Touches up. So we can claim that that's an improvement of some kind. I hesitate to use my Ring of Peace here, mostly because I might need it later. And it's kind of like all I have for these guys. I mean, I have paralysis, but it's not enough. Like, and I'm gonna need that for the boss. That said, paladins have turn evil, so they can definitely... They're not helpless when it comes to the slimes on the boss. Like, we have 4 good crowd controls for the boss. Not Ring of Peace. I mean, I guess Ring of Peace counts. We have Ring of Peace, we have Frost Trap, we have 2 turn evils, and then 2 stuns by the paladins as well. So this boss should be a cakewalk. At least in the sense that, like, if the damage is good, it should go by without too many problems. I am feeling hopeful that we'll get some... I'm getting close enough to, like, drink. I'm feeling hopeful that we'll get some disease cleanses from these paladins, right? After seeing what this group has to offer, I definitely want to get as much mana as I can. Alright, so the tank wants Bloodlust, which they get immediately. Which is a good sign, by the way. I dispel the person that does not have a self-dispel. Nobody else is cleansing. It's a little frustrating for me as a healer. I prepare myself to paralyze this mob. And then the hunter just tries to kill it. So I use Touch of Death. And normally I wouldn't bother, but I was like 99% sure it was not gonna be okay if I didn't kill it. Like, I was pretty sure it was gonna reach the boss. Revival just to get the stupid slow off of people. Boss is dying pretty fast, so I don't want to complain too much. I know that the melee aren't going to cleanse themselves already, so I do cleanse one of the Ret Paladins to get them to the boss faster. Ret Paladins is great. I appreciate his positivity. It was okay. Like, it wasn't okay. Like, it could have been better. Once you've been in a good group doing that boss, like, you kind of know, like, it could have been, like, really good. There the tank goes again. I don't, again, maybe they're not trying to be condescending, but boy, when you just type everything in all caps, it's like, okay, but all caps doesn't make, you know, if somebody doesn't understand the lowercase, they're sure as hell not going to understand the capital letters. But what do I know? I'm trying to keep the tank cleansed since they can't cleanse themselves. And I do dispel the pet. I guess just like, why not? You know. I definitely get Mystic Touch Up right away because I want this dead as soon as possible. Alright, everybody stomped on the bugs, so we're gonna move forward. I definitely need to use Expel Harm more. It's like a very good, and if I'm remembering correctly, kind of cheap heal, but too busy panicking, I guess. And maybe getting a little frustrated with not just the fact that like nobody's cleansing but me, even though I literally invited 2 people to this dungeon specifically to cleanse. But also, like, the people just keep standing and stuff. And by people, I mostly mean that one Red Paladin. So, I guess just a pro tip, if you're a Ret Paladin and you don't cleanse and you don't use your utility on other people, and that's why you're not getting invited to groups. That's why you can't, like, you know, it's not like Raider.io has like an internal like thing that says like, oh, so-and-so is great at using dispels or whatever. So like, it's not trackable that way, but it's one of those things where like, your keys are gonna do better when you're contributing in these maybe seemingly insignificant ways, but they do make a big difference. Like, see how much damage this disease is doing on both of these Red Paladins? They are both perfectly capable of healing themselves by just dispelling that, and yet neither one of them do. neither one of them bop it off. The one is, or no, they're both Kyrian and they don't use a file. Like, there's just so many ways that they could have helped themselves there. And if the key isn't timed at the end of the dungeon, that's why. Because we had to stop and, like, take all this time to heal when normally we would have just been able to keep going. So, like, I don't know, pro tip, same if you're a Windwalker, you have a Dispel. If you're a Shaman, you can cleanse curses. If you're a Mage, you can cleanse curses. Like, just do it. I shouldn't be out here cleansing Paladins of things that they're capable of cleansing themselves of. And yeah, I could be, like, super petty and just not do it, but, like, I don't want my key to fail, so I'm gonna cleanse it because I don't want to fail my key. But, like, I don't know, just think about if it were your key, like, what would you go the extra mile for your own key? Then you should be doing it for other people's. Like, granted, I don't expect, like, you know, incredible dispels just based off of the fact that, like, you are doing a damage rotation, but I still expect to cleanse when you're literally dying of something. I guess I'm feeling kind of salty rewatching this. Like, I was frustrated when I did it. Maybe not as much as I was with the tank that wouldn't heal himself, because at least this tank's healing themselves, but definitely salty that I invited 2 Ret Paladins and all I've done is, like, betray my confidence. like, bro, you don't get invited to keys in the first place. Like, maybe this is why. You have such good utility, but if you don't use it to help people or to help the group, then there's no point in bringing you. I'll just bring somebody that, like, isn't melee, right? Especially this key level, okay? It's a 9. Like, we don't even have the little mini bosses or whatever. Can you imagine how awful this dungeon would be with the mini bosses with this group? No thanks. Ring of Peace was a waste there, because the stuff was basically rooted by the Death Knight anyway. This platform, you want to be careful, because there is a tentacle there on the left side that'll get you if you move too far that way. Dude just straight up died. I want to res him, but, like, I can't because we're stuck in combat. I think the other paladin got him. The first utility that's been used by one of the paladins this dungeon. This definitely isn't, like, a mega disaster run in the sense that, like, it's not like we have 40 deaths on the board already or anything. But it's one of those, like, people are clearly learning, but, like, we have plenty of dispels, and, like, nobody's using them. Except for me. And it's my, like, job to do that, but it still sucks. Alright, I'm backing up to try to, like, convince these guys to follow me, but the tank taunted it back. So this is another spot where your melee are going to struggle a little bit just because, like, based off of positioning or whatever. At least the mobs are actually standing on the platform, though. But, like, look at the melee DPS versus the ranged guy. Like, we do have one of the Ret Paladins pulling ahead here. The better geared one with the better IO score. Though not by, like, a lot.
When I find you, I'll be happy to demonstrate my research.
So this is where, like, the tank doesn't really communicate, like, what he's doing before he does it. Like, and the hunter's just standing there, right? I was gonna use Ring of Peace, and I'm like, you know what, nah.
It's too far away.
Tank decides he's going to reset the boss.
Next specimen.
I don't want everybody to die because the paladin used lay on hands on himself. I don't want everyone to die, and my reason is because these mobs are going to take forever to kill if everybody dies. Sea Lemon is, or not Sea Lemon. Sea Lemon is a bookbinder on YouTube. Sea Moon is just hanging out down there dying. Like, not even coming to the group, just sitting there. Just chilling. Like, if Sea Moon would have come up, I could have healed them up. But they're just hanging out down there, dying. Just standing there, dying to Grievous. I finally decided to try and help them because I feel like the tank is okay, but it was too late. And then they released, which means they have to run back from the start. Yeah, of course, the second I say it, it's like too late. They probably were pressing it as I typed it, but whatever. I was like, don't release, because now you gotta get back through that starting area without dying again.
It's too far away. I'm out of range.
You can see my statue reaches like quite a long distance.
I need to get closer. It's too far away.
And like, also, I just want to point out that like, Sea Moon died with cooldowns up. So like, Bubble, Avengers, Wrath, or whatever. Alright, so here we go. Now, what I would have done with this is pull him around to the back. Because I've already seen that this group doesn't know what to do. Somebody stood in the spikes. What a surprise. Worst part is, I already don't have, like, any mana.
You cannot comprehend my genius. What this needs is
We did get a battle res up. But I'm, like, out of mana. Because they didn't even wait for me before they pulled. So I use a pot, like, it's better than nothing, right? I need to move.
now to test this slime on you. Let's add an accelerant, shall we?
I'm just pretty much prepared for everybody to stand in every single thing that this boss does. Nobody steps on the thing in time, so now we have another slime.
What this needs is
I'm hoping somebody will, like, stop that and I won't have to, but I do. We just have corrosive gunk everywhere. I feel like I don't even feel bad for, like... Alright, so one of the paladins did use their bubble.
The next procedure will be a real blowout.
I get so confused on this boss. I mean, I can tell. I mean, here's my problem with it. Alright, so this is like a wash, to be honest. Like, the tank isn't even trying. Like, nobody cares. All the groups are shit, says the tank, and leaves the party. So, that's that on that. Welp. So I put the tank on ignore. Were they a terrible tank? Not specifically terrible, but did they have very little understanding of, like, how to do a pug? Also, yes. Again, I think I've said this like 30 times already in this series. It's so small. It's...
Perhaps you can help gather the necessary reagents for our latest mixture.
Okay, so I'm dumb and I'm like, hey, we can try an 8, even though, like, in my mind, I was like, this group was shit. Why would I want to do another one with these DPS? But, like, it took so long to get people in my group, like, me just staring at the group finder, that I'm, like, willing to do it again, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, like I've said, like, 30 times in here, there is a certain, what do I want to call it? Level of, like, awareness that tanks need to have. You need to understand that if you do a skip, unless it's like there's a wide berth around everything to skip it, it's gonna get pulled in a pug. Like, this isn't a 20. These people aren't great, right? And I'm left with, like, okay, so I went to go do my key, but I'm left with, like, this this guy. Don't worry, he's gonna end up leaving the group, and that's all that I'm gonna do today. I'm actually gonna redo this key and try my 8 in the next video, but I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, like, what all went wrong there. Like, definitely I could have healed better, and I think everybody was getting frustrated by the time we got to that boss, so it was one of those, like, not wanting to deal with the group anymore, and everybody was like, you know, it was a combination of things, but, like, I can tell you right off the bat, the biggest reason that the dungeon sucked was the Ret Paladins not cleansing. It's such a small thing, but it takes, like, one global, and it would have just been easier for everyone. I probably would have been, I just would have had a better time, and... like, so I'm like, I'm trying to explain shit, and then the guy leaves the group anyway, because he doesn't get an instant group. But here's the thing. He's a DPS, like, you're lucky to get invited at all. Like, why did he leave? Because it's taking time for people to join? Like, I don't know what you expect. We're Alliance, you know what I mean? Like, there aren't that many people queuing for keys at this point. Just take whatever you can get and be happy with it. Anyway, let's look at our bingo cards, because I'm sure that that's way more exciting than this group. Alright, so we actually didn't get anything for wholesome bingo. Like, the first group was pretty good, but nothing, I don't know, stand out, let's say. And then, for painful bingo, we're actually going to get, like, 4 of them. So, the healer was the last one alive there on that last boss that we just did. Not for very long, but for, like, a couple of seconds. DPS died, but they could have prevented it with a cooldown. Like, literally even one cleanse, or a bubble, or Avenging Wrath. Like, any of that would have saved the paladin from dying when we were trying to reset the boss. Like, literally anything but just standing there. Like, a stun would have been good, you know what I mean? And then also no mana breaks for healer, because tank apparently didn't think that I needed mana to heal through a boss like that. And then finally we have someone rage quits the group. Either way, that gets us a bingo right across the middle there. So I guess we did hit bingo on the painful one first. And we'll keep, like, referencing these bingo cards, like, just to see, like, as things get checked off, like, what's looking, I don't know, what looks worst or best first? I don't know. Anyway, so we'll keep referencing these. We'll see how it goes and what they look like. You can see that, like, one really mediocre, in this case, I wouldn't even say it was that bad of a group. Like, at least we didn't keep going. Like, the tank, for them saying all groups are shit or whatever, like, I just want to clarify, like, this person never did get Keystone Master in Season 2. Like, I did look them up. They never did get Keystone Master, so, you know, I'm not saying that says anything about them necessarily, but, like, sometimes there is a common denominator, right? And when the common denominator is that every group is shit, it's probably you, actually. I've had some shit groups, but I've also had plenty that were, like, mediocre or okay, or even good. So this was, like, probably one of the more mediocre groups, just in the sense that, like, people stood in stuff, no cleansing or utility from the DPS, the tank had a weird route, and then I don't normally knock a weird route, I don't care, like, in this house, we just follow the tank, right? But, like, then the tank is, like, all surprised Pikachu face because, like, the DPS accidentally butt pull something when their route, like, literally is, like, 2 inches away from another pack of mobs that they want to skip. And it's like, I don't know, you could have mentioned, like, we're skipping these mobs or whatever. It seemed pretty clear that that was what they wanted to do, but, you know, I don't know. I hate playing melee DPS because it kind of just puts you in a shit position anyway. But yeah, so that's all for this video. We were in that dungeon for a very, very long time. It was like 40 minutes or so, just getting the key, getting people into the key, and then by the time everybody quit, it was about 40 minutes. So, I mean, at least it was only 40 minutes. It could have definitely been, like, an hour and a half. Like, I've heard some groups were, you know, currently in keys for several hours trying to get them because of the 9.2 patch. So, I'll take my 40-minute failure right there. The unfortunate, or perhaps fortunate thing is that, like, none of this info shows up anywhere. So, like, you're not going to see it on Raider.io or anything because it was a failed key and it never completed. But, unfortunately, I have video footage of how bad we all played, so you've been forced to witness it. Anyway, that's all we have time for in this video. I hope that you will come back for the next one. In the next one, we're going to do 2 more dungeons, and here's the exciting part. It will be the first 10 that we try in the next video, so stay tuned for that. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and happy healing!